Today, Donald Trump doubled tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. This is a reckless move that will hurt workers and industry on both sides of the border. Today, I note that Labour, the FCM, and the Chambers of Commerce have called on this government to take meaningful action to protect jobs and the industry. Prime Minister Carney has announced before that he would allocate all of the monies from the countervailing tariffs to affected workers, and yet to date, we have not seen any meaningful announcement from this government to protect workers who will lose their jobs or Canadian industry. New Democrats are calling on this government to take a number of swift measures. First, we want them to bring in emergency reforms to the employment insurance program. Second, we want to make the use of Canadian steel mandatory in all government infrastructure projects and a centerpiece of the One Canada economy legislation. And third, we'd like to see tax incentives to private businesses to encourage them to use Canadian-made products. The second thing I want to announce today is that New Democrats met in caucus this morning, and we decided that we are going to be voting no to the throne speech. 1.2 million Canadians sent New Democrats to this Parliament to advocate for working families across this country. And yet, in this throne speech, we don't see those priorities reflected. Millions of Canadians don't have access to an affordable home. They don't have access to timely health care, and they don't have access to the good family-sustaining jobs that they need. And yet, the throne speech doesn't even mention the words health care. You won't even find those words in the throne speech. There is no mention of non-market housing, cooperative housing, or housing for Indigenous people, some of the most acute needs in this country when it comes to affordable housing. And it foreshadows $28 billion in cuts that will absolutely hurt working people across this country. So we will be voting no against the throne speech and making sure that the interests of working people across this country are reflected, and will continue to fight for those measures that we know that so many millions of Canadians and working families need in this country.
Ford said that the Prime Minister is being steamrolled by Trump. Do you agree with that sentiment? Do you feel like that the U.S. is bullying the Prime Minister or the Liberal government right now?
Well, I think the entire political strategy of Donald Trump has been to bully everybody. That's not a surprise to anybody. So I don't think Prime Minister Carney is unique in that regard. But, you know, the way to stand up to bullies is to stand up strong and effectively and intelligently and in a timely fashion. And so we need a strong Canadian response. Now, that's why the NDP is calling on 3 concrete measures that can be done right away. Look, in this House of Commons, the Liberals have prioritized a tax cut, and they said that they would get rid of interprovincial trade barriers by Canada Day, yet the word employment insurance does not appear in the throne speech. That is not a worker-centred throne speech, but that's a concrete measure that we need right away to protect workers who are going to be affected by these unfair tariffs. And again, you know, the public-private measures that will encourage Canadian companies to use Canadian-made products like steel and aluminum is something we have to get into action right away.
If the throne speech fails, are you ready for a potential election, or the Conservatives having the opportunity to try to secure the confidence of the House?
Well, as my colleague just said in French, Canadians don't want an election right now, but Canadians also sent us here to take principled positions and advocate for the policies we know working people need. So, you know, we have no problem as a New Democrat caucus saying this throne speech just doesn't deliver for Canadians. We're going to vote accordingly.
Does that mean that, you know, it's a confidence vote, obviously? Should we take this as this is not a declaration from you guys that you don't have confidence in the government, or should we take it that way, that you don't have confidence already in the Carney government?
It's a clear message that this throne speech is not a worker-centred throne speech, and it does not deliver the priorities that we heard from millions of Canadians across this country. And so we can't support a throne speech that so badly misses the mark in terms of the economic and social policies that people need in this country. And so we're comfortable with our vote.
I'm gathering you're assuming that there's going to be enough votes to pass the throne speech. Otherwise, an election could be triggered. So is that a danger you're concerned about?
Well, in a minority parliament, you're always concerned about the impacts of our votes, but we're taking a principled approach. We've scanned the throne speech very carefully from cover to cover, and it's frankly it's a conservative light throne speech. It's not a throne speech that reflects the priorities of New Democrats or the working Canadians that we represent. And so, we're taking the principled position on the throne speech, and we'll see what the other parties do.
Thank you very much.